When you picture the world's most dangerous possessed object, you probably imagine the version from the movies, a cracked porcelain monster with glassy eyes. But the reality is a faded fabric Raggedy Ann. Yet this specific toy sits at the center of a half-century of terror. She is blamed for over 50 paranormal attacks, fatal accidents, and even a global internet panic. It seems absurd. We have to look at how a mass-produced $20 children's toy managed to hold the human psyche hostage for 50 years. Our investigation focuses on a central question. Are we looking at an actual demonic trap or the most successful case of psychological manipulation on record? The history begins in 1970, in a setting that couldn't be more ordinary. 2 student nurses shared an apartment, and one of them received the doll as a birthday gift. Soon, minor anomalies disrupted their routine. They noticed the doll changing positions on its own. Then, they started finding handwritten parchment notes scattered around the living room, reading, "Help us." The nurses hired a medium who claimed a dead girl's spirit lived inside the fabric. Instead of disposing of the toy, the nurses felt pity. They gave the spirit permission to stay. That decision triggered a severe escalation. The haunting turned physically violent. A male friend visiting the apartment claimed he was attacked, waking up with unexplained claw wounds across his chest. Around the same time, the nurses found their car's brakes were inexplicably slashed. This brought in Ed and Lorraine Warren, the paranormal authorities who immediately took control of the scene. After reviewing the evidence, the Warrens delivered a terrifying diagnosis. There was no dead girl. The doll was a vessel for an inhuman spirit attempting to possess the nurses. They confiscated the toy and placed it under a permanent occult lockdown. Even behind glass, the lore of a curse grew. Years later, a museum visitor openly mocked the confined doll. He died in a motorcycle accident just hours after leaving the property. For believers, the patterns are impossible to ignore. The documented injuries, the recorded audio tapes, and the trail of deaths provide the evidence of an active, supernatural threat. But we have to ask if hard science offers a more grounded explanation for these 50 attacks and fatal coincidences. This flowchart illustrates psychological priming. A neutral sound passes through a spooky filter, outputting a threat. Apply this to the Warrens. Their demonic framing acted as a new filter, coloring every subsequent experience with the doll as terrifying. A primed brain creates a fear canvas, actively hunting for patterns in the environment to confirm the danger it expects. It turns normal shifting shadows in the corner of a room into a malevolent presence. Under this framework, the paranormal claims become logical side effects. An ordinary draft that drops the room temperature by 20 degrees is no longer weather. It is a demonic presence. The fatalities follow the same pattern. A tragic, entirely coincidental motorcycle accident is retroactively mapped directly to the doll's influence because the mind has already accepted the curse as fact. This suggests the doll serves as an anchor for the mind rather than a source of energy. The long history of reported injuries doesn't necessarily prove a demonic presence, but it does show the terrifying capacity of the human brain to manifest a perceived threat into lived reality. We can see this psychological theory in action by looking at the events of 2026. An entirely unsubstantiated rumor that Annabelle had escaped her case went instantly viral. The fallout was immediate. Despite the escape being a total hoax, police stations worldwide received a surge in calls, reporting physical attacks, paranormal sightings, and copycat hauntings. The 2026 panic even produced physical data. Museum sensors recorded anomalous radiation spikes near the doll's case. While believers saw a demon awakening, researchers noted the surge peaked exactly as thousands of protesters and influencers crowded the museum, suggesting the readings were an environmental side effect of the mass hysteria itself. The escape was entirely debunked, but for the millions who felt the panic, the physical terror was a lived reality. The Warrens created a myth so resilient that it became a self-sustaining psychological phenomenon. The myth has become a self-sustaining cycle. Annabelle doesn't need to move or speak to exert influence. She only needs a population that believes she is capable of it. So consider the chill down your spine right now. Is it a real entity in the room with you, or just your primed brain playing tricks? Cast your vote below.